All right, ladies and gentlemen, these are your candidates for County Auditor. Mr. David Norton on the Libertarian Party, Mr. Claude Combs from the Democrat Party, and Mr. Randall Bills from the Republican Party. Mr. Norton, you have the microphone closest to you, so we will start. Please give us what you believe are your most important qualities for holding the office of County Recorder. Auditor, I'm sorry, I said recorder, didn't I? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, auditor.
Yes, I've spent all my life in the county. Lived out of New York, born in Scottsburg, except when I was away at school. And my qualifications, I have degrees from IUS in mathematics, bachelor's degree, and a master's in statistics from the University of Kentucky, and a master's in industrial engineering and management sciences from Northwestern University. I've taken and passed the first two exams to become an actuary. That's been a long time in the past. I'm sure I would have to take them again if I would have pursued becoming an actuary. And I just think that keeping the accounts requires knowledge of math and facility with numbers, and ability to look at trends, percentage increases, to be able to compare to other counties, to national averages.
Well, I think I'm the most qualified candidate for county auditor. I've been a business owner. I've managed businesses, and I've also been a part of the county council, which I'm part of now. Of course, in the government realm, I was also city judge. So I've operated those types of businesses. I have experience with those, and I've earned the trust, I think, of a lot of you, public, and I pledge to provide that service to you and the citizens as your next auditor.
Good evening. My qualifications, I believe, to take this position are strong. I served on the West Washington School Board. I was involved in the forming of the tax district, or the fire district at Campbellsburg Volunteer Fire Department, Brown Vernon. Very successfully grown that into a successful organization. The school was a success. It's been 16 years at Campbellsburg, and my budget there was always proven and conservative. I spent 16 years your county sheriff, and I think my record there as a taxpayer advocate and a conservative with the largest single health budget. When I say single health, the largest budget in the county where one person oversees it. And I've proved over the last 16 years as the county sheriff that I am a conservative. I'll keep the money spent the way the money's supposed to be, and that's what it's all about. You've got to manage the money. If the county is going to stay solvent, someone's got to watch the money.
Hold the microphone there. Okay, thank you, Mr. Combs. One of the questions from the audience that we've received is the same as a question we had planned. People don't quite understand what the office of the auditor is supposed to be within our government. So from your perspective, what do you see as the role of the auditor within county government?
Well, I think obviously the auditor's position is laid out by the state. It's rather simple, or it's not simple, it's very complicated. The auditor is in charge of the claim of the budget. Payroll, I'm sorry. They're in charge of payroll. They're in charge of figuring taxes out. Whenever a property tax is excess, the county auditor's office has to figure it out, how much you actually pay. The auditor's office is the, there's a lot of jobs here for a minute. The auditor also keeps is the secretary for the county council and the county commissioners. The auditor is in charge of advertising all spending, rebudgeting money. I could go on and on here. There's a big list of things, but I'm out of time.
Okay, as Claude said there, and it is true, the auditor's duties are immense. Probably has more duties than about any other public office that there is in this county. Those duties do take care of the public officials as far as being secretary for the council and also for the commissioners, taking notes for them, also taking care of any types of adopting of any amendments that have to be published, making sure the open door law is represented for those different offices for meetings, public meetings, and going through claims, receipts, the checks and balances. The basis of the whole thing is that the auditor is the chief financial officer of the county, basically. And it really does involve several different things.
Well, on this question, I'll have to agree with both of them. Basically, the auditor is the chief accountant for the county and keeps track of accounts, files a financial report and reconciles it each month, and once per year, a financial report goes to the commissioners and another financial report to the State Board of Accounts. And they make sure that things are paid for out of the correct account and goes into the right account, that tax funds goes into the right account. Anything that's paid, that there has to be a warrant issued by the auditor to the treasurer and countersigned by both, I think, in order for things to be paid. So it's a check to make sure that just one person can't just spend the taxpayers' money. The auditor sort of looks over the shoulder, and I think that's why it's important to have an auditor from a different party than the majority party in the county. You can't have, the fox looking over the hen house. I think we know most of the people that are elected in this county are going to be Republicans. You need somebody from another party to be the...
Okay, that's fine. If you'll hand it to Mr. Bills, we'll let him start on the next question. What particular changes do you see that you could bring to the auditor's office if elected this coming election?
Well, if an elected auditor, I think the first thing that you have to do is, of course, you have to go into the office open-minded, look at how things are being processed. I think the other thing is that, you do work with other auditors, you're able to network with them, with your staff, find out what some of their ideas are as far as maybe being able to be more efficient and take care of the public's needs. These are all things that, I think are very important. We're blessed with new technology that we've just have gotten, some new software that we're using, and I think that's going to really increase a lot of our knowledge that's going to be both for the public and for our public officials to use in order to manage the funds for the county.
Well, I work with the auditor's office, obviously, all the time. I think that there's no doubt that the ladies working in that office are very competent in what they do. They do an outstanding job there. And we just put in, the auditor's office is constantly upgrading and staying up with the times. It's not behind times. We have a brand new program in there now that they're using to use payroll and their other things on. So, they're up to date. Matter of fact, they just switched it over less than a month ago, I think. And so everything's going well there. They had a few little hitches in it, but you will with any program. And again, I will have to agree with Randy. There's a lot of things there. It's a big business, and to make changes, you need to make sure you understand that the change is going to be for the best. Not just come through the door and say, oh, I'm going to change things. So I'd have to look and see if there were positive changes that could be made, and there probably are some positive changes that could be.
Well, I agree with Claude. Being outside the office, I'm not sure what I would change that's there. I'm not going to say I'm going to hire or fire people or do different things until I was in the office. But I think I would be, of the three of us, the most qualified to evaluate new software as it comes along. And one thing I'd like to do is take a look at unfunded liabilities. That's something that we have cities, counties going under all over this country. State of Illinois is in danger of going under due to unfunded liabilities, due to people counting pensions and evaluating them the wrong way. And I think of the three people here, I would be the one best able to take a look at pensions and make sure that they're fully funded and that we're not in danger from using rosy scenarios. And that is a very great danger to any community these days.
Any rebuttal amongst the three?
I only say that our county employees are covered under PERF. I don't know that that's a statewide program, and I don't know the funding on it, and I don't think that the state of Indiana is going to give the county auditor of Washington County any input into what they're going to do with their retirement program.
I'd like to add to that, yes, it is provided by the state of Indiana and supervised by them, the PERF system is, for retirement. Those guidelines, I think, need to be adhered to. They've worked successfully, and I think that's where it needs to stay.
Well, I think Stockton, California was under state guidelines too, weren't they? Or do you think California had no state guidelines?
Let's address the audience in our rebuttal. I understand.
Stockton, California went under. California has state guidelines. I think we need to take responsibility and not elect people that say it won't be on my back.
Claude, why don't you start this next question? Right. What is the one thing, or maybe one or two things, that you wish people understood about the auditor's office? You all three have talked about the role of the auditor in maintaining accounts for the county, for maintaining, working in tax situations. What would you tell the public here tonight about the auditor's office that maybe they don't understand that you do or do not have discretion about making decisions?
Well, obviously the auditor, and there's probably a lot of people, maybe a lot of people would think the auditor has a control over what the county commissioners does and what the county council does, and that's not really true. The auditor's in an advisory capacity, and now if they start spending where they're not supposed to spend, then the auditor has some control. But, basically, the auditor is a bookkeeper and a person who keeps everything straight and watches to make sure that the money is spent where the money is supposed to be spent. The council and the commissioners are the ones that lay out what you can, lay your budget out for you. And then it tells you what can be spent and where it can go. And that's the auditor's job right there. It's not the auditor's job to tell you that you can have it. That's the council and the commissioners. It's the auditor's job to make sure you do have it, that you spend it according to the way it is designed to be spent.
Yes, I think, the assurance that the county's finances and the operating of that data and the operation of the auditor's office is done properly, and answering the questions that need to be answered by the public, whether it's with the transfer of their property, which the auditor takes care of, whether it's asking for exemptions, tax exemptions, or any of a series of questions. It's not always the auditor doing a certain job, but it's the citizens out there that are trying to find out a lot of times what different offices take care of different situations. And I think the auditor's office becomes that hub in the courthouse for a lot of things, where they can direct you for the evaluations of your
I would agree with that. It's more of an advisory capacity as far as spending, and the council sets the budget, the commissioners spend a big chunk of the money. They're not in control of all of it, but I think the auditor is in a good place to give advice based on analyzing things, and I don't think they should just keep the books and not say anything. There's a good place there for recommending that, something is increasing, too fast compared to the population in neighboring counties. So I think it's a good place to look over the shoulders, to be a check, and especially if the auditor is from a different party from the majority party, they're not going to be beholden, they're not going to be trying to cover up strange expenses and things like that, so I think.
I just got one thing to say. I'm satisfied anybody that knows me knows that I'm not very good at not exercising my opinion. So I didn't, the kind of question kind of caught me off, but you can be assured that I am a conservative, and I've proven that. And by that being said, I'm going to be watching what's going on, and I'll make my suggestions, whether they're heard or not. That's not right much I can do about that, because they have their position, and the auditor has his or hers.
Well, that's a couple of times that Claude has said he's a conservative, but some of his accounts, I noticed in the paper that the amount that was spent on extra hours, that I think his department was more out of budget than any other department in the county. And we have a county where since 1980, the county population has grown about 30%, but the number of people in jail has grown about 380%, while crime has been going down.
All right, start out, your time's up. All right. We're on our 7:10 spot for you gentlemen, so Mr. Bill, since you have the microphone, I'll let you start the closing statements, and then we'll go to Mr. Combs, and then we'll go to Mr. Norton.
All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate all of you being here tonight. I'd like to thank you, the publishing company, Farm Girl, for sponsoring this forum. And I do appreciate having a good crowd here. This is very nice to have that. I'd like to go ahead and express that I am your most qualified candidate, I believe, because of my experience in business and management, and also in government, working in the government and as your county councilman. And through that I've earned your trust, and I hope that I can fulfill the service and the public are pledging that I provide positive service to our citizens as your next auditor. I would appreciate your trust and ask that you vote on November 4th for me. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening, and the other candidates are here, and wish them luck in their campaigns. Thank the Salem leader for their involvement in Farm Bureau, and just end by saying that a little good-natured debate never hurt nobody. I don't agree with Randy. I think there is no doubt that I'm the best candidate for this position, and that's why we're going to have an election. So, but I want to thank you guys, and again, I don't know what Mr. Norton's talking about. We do have a separate overtime budget, and we have never exceeded that overtime budget, and that is just the way it is. So, thank you.
Well, maybe I read the newspaper wrong, but that's how I thought I interpreted it. I think I'm the most qualified for this job. I have degrees in math and statistics. I think I would be the best at keeping the accounts and facility with numbers, and it would be good to have somebody from a different party than the two parties that are spending money and are not paving the roads adequately and building jails, 380% bigger than the last jail, when the
Ladies and gentlemen, these are your candidates for County Auditor, Mr. Randy Bills,